So you started as the foot soldier, and when did you actually become the head of the Democratic Party?
Last year, that was 2010, right? Well, let's be frank about where the Democratic Party was last year. It had had kind of a bad run as the McGuinty administration was discovered to have managed the finances, at the very least, very poorly. And people were really mad at the McGuinty administration. And believe it or not, those who were most angry and frustrated were Democrats.
I know.
So the Democratic Party wasn't in the best of shape. And also, the people who had worked so hard to make the Democratic Party the leading proponent and savior of our lovely environment and our historic traditions were a little bit tired. So it needed some new blood. Well, that was not so easy to find. Chuck Hitchcock asked me in May of 2010 if I might be willing to consider running if he were to nominate me in September. And Chuck has been a mentor for me ever since. I gave it a lot of thought. I helped Chuck as he was trying to develop some new, and the executive committee, as they were trying to develop some new structures for the Democratic Party. And during that period, decided that I would be willing to run. It was something I thought I could do because I had run an organization that used a lot of volunteers in New York and that had to raise its own money. And that had to develop a kind of orderly way of doing business, so it seemed right for me.
And you have done a remarkable job. When they chose you for the award this year as Democrat of the Year, and by the way, I came on board just about the same time you
Oh, I
became
know you did.
And the things that they talked about in the award of what you do, it's like, oh my God, how does this woman do all of this? I mean, even just the answering of thousands of emails must be staggering, let alone the meetings that you go to and the vision that you have to have in order to be the leader.
You're really embarrassing me. I'm having a hard time responding to those lovely comments, and I appreciate them very much. But the truth is that it's the people who work with me that make it possible for us to do a lot. I think we have accomplished a tremendous amount in the last year. We had a lot to build on. We have an organizational edge in this community that has been built over the years by people like Betty Mazur, who is the most indefatigable, is that the right word?
I don't know what the, dynamo, I think is the word.
She's a dynamo. We have a tradition of getting out the vote, to which she has made an extraordinary contribution. Maybe she's done almost the whole thing. That's not quite true. She's been able to enlist many, many people who work very, very hard. And what lies behind that is enthusiasm. It's not such a partisan enthusiasm as you might think. I think Betty's the person who said to me, sure, a nonpartisan town government would be a fine thing. Here we don't have a nonpartisan town government. We have a tradition of parties. But I think our Democratic Party represents a nonpartisan commitment to making the community better and making it better for everybody in it. So there's a lot of enthusiasm among the people who work in our party, and we were able to recapture that, bring in a bunch of new people last year, and lay what I think will be a foundation for growing the party and bringing in more new people this year. And of course, having our terrific slate of candidates this year
Yes.
can't be ignored as a factor.
Yes.
We were really fortunate to enlist two new people, or people new to running for office, Peter Van Scoyoc and Zach Cohen. And we were really fortunate that Sylvia Overby, who has been a mainstay of environmental protection and historic protection in our community for many years, and is a wonderful advocate, was willing to run again. I think one reason she was willing to run again was that she admired her fellow candidates so much and enjoyed working with them so much.
Yes, I know. Having interviewed all of these candidates on this show, I know them thoroughly, and I was amazed at their commitment, on their knowledge, their passion for the area. I mean, it was like really an incredible thing to interview each of these people. They were so worthy. And having been on the screening committee, I also was amazed that we had such intelligence and foresight and luck to have really picked such a wonderful slate of people.
I think they're going to be terrific going forward.
Yes, I do too. I'm very pleased with the people that we have, who the winners and the losers, who are going to be the leaders of the future for us. So now we are in the position where we have elected two new Democrats, Peter Van Scoyoc and Sylvia Overby.
And a new Democratic trustee, Deb
I know
Klugers.
Well. I was just going, that word was just going to come out, those words were going to come out of my mouth, because Deb, of course, is the producer of this show.
Right.
And actually is my mentor, believe it or not. I'm always asking her about environmental things, because she is so incredibly knowledgeable. And one word about the environment before we go on to other things is that I interviewed also Tim Bishop for another show called Consider This, as well as Valone. And I remember very distinctly that Tim Bishop said, the economy is our environment, and the environment is our economy.
Yes, absolutely.
And I thought those were really great words of wisdom. So that is who we are. We are a wonderful environment that we have to work very hard to maintain. And with the people we have who are going to be representing the Democrats, and as you say, it's not really as partisan as it is about the issues, individual issues, but we do face an opposition. And how do we, because none of the issues went away. You know, they didn't say, okay, now we've got a new group of people, and so the issues are over. They're not over. They're all right there. I mean, we have the scavenger waste, we have the airport, we have all of these things. And how do you see us being able to work for the environment and also the quality of life in East Hampton?
Well, you know what? You're working for those things right now by having your shows and communicating to the public about these issues through your interviews with so many people. If we had elected the majority, which we almost did, 15 votes short, I think we would have had a spectacular government here that would have worked for long-term as well as short-term protection of the interests of our community. Well, we don't have that. We have two terrific council people, and I hope that the current administration will see these smart, caring people as collaborators, smart, caring, and experienced people as collaborators rather than antagonists. If they don't, one thing we can count on is that both Sylvia and Peter will be strong voices, alerting the public to what's going on and what needs to be done differently. And that will help us reclaim the majority in 2013. We also have a very strong group of people in the Democratic Party, and we're hoping that as a result of this election, we will get a whole lot more who will keep their eye on this town board and keep bringing out into the public more and more information about the issues. The Wilkinson government has operated in a pretty secretive way. I know they say there's transparency, they have all these meetings, everybody's invited to come, but being at a meeting is not an interaction with your government. The interaction comes when the government really tells you what its plans are, what it's thinking about. For example, the scavenger waste. We haven't really, no one has asked the public whether they think we need a scavenger waste plant here in our town. Well, the public might have a lot to say if they were also informed about what the implications, the cost implications for pumping their cesspools would be if the scavenger waste had to be transported to a faraway part of the island, what the implications for traffic on their roads would be, what the implications would be for air pollution. So we need...
And also with the scavenger waste, there also is what Debbie and I were talking about before, was that there's never really been a study about how this present scavenger waste that we have, what kind of leaching of you know, the very toxic heavy metals has been doing to our groundwater.
Yes.
And that is an enormous, enormous issue that we simply have to look at some point. And we need to have the people who are running our town thinking about that and how we're going to deal with it.
They may be thinking about it, but they've been thinking about it in executive session. And that's not bringing the public in to discuss the issue. Right. And I can't think of any real serious reason why these discussions should be secret and exclude the public. So perhaps one of the things we'll do this year is FOIL more stuff. You know, the FOIL is the Freedom of Information Law request that entitles us to find out the answers to some of these secrets, and maybe we'll be doing more of that.
Well, I know that you have a big job ahead of you in the next 2 years, and as we all do, and we will actually work very hard to keep our beautiful East Hampton as beautiful as it is. And I thank you so much for coming today. It's been very enlightening to hear your point of view.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.